like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. My name is Drew Brown. Welcome to the Wingman Show. And my wingman is Dr. Paul Thompson. What's cracking, my brother Paul?
Not much, not much. Good morning to you, Mr. Drew. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone is doing well.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Paul. You know, our frequent flyers or our old listeners, they've done us really good by writing little reviews for Apple Podcasts. So any of you new listeners out there, if you'd write a little review for Apple Podcasts, we'd really appreciate it. We have a newsletter, and you can get everything on wingmenshow.com. Paul, I got my new Shatki headrest today, and it's the advanced with the really sharp needles, and I did it this morning before we came on the show, and it worked like a charm.
Oh, really? Now, for people who are new to the show, tell them what the Shatki is.
A Shatki mat is an acupuncture mat that you lay on, and it has little needles in it, and it's helped me with my back pain tremendously. And they offer a little pillow now that you put your head on with pins, with needles again. And now I've bought the advanced, so it's a little bit sharper, and the acupuncture is working for me, Doc. It's working for me.
Wow. Is it expensive?
The pillow was $59, and I think the mat is about $89. Okay. And let me tell you something. When I don't have pain in my back, it's worth all the money in China.
Well, that's good. That's good. How long does it last? I mean, you're good for the day, or you do it every day?
I do it every morning.
Okay.
I do it every morning. And it really helps. And talking about health, you know, I wanted to talk about starting again, because I always, throughout my life, had to start again. Always will start on Monday, start working out, start doing this, start doing that. What I have found out is that when you start, you start. And that means you can start right now, and you can start off slow. And how do you get back into working out? You start off with walking, and then you just expand from that. What you don't want to do is work out so hard that you hate working out. But there's something that I think you and I should know. There are 5 good habits that probably you and I have that if you continue to do them, they kind of start turning bad. How about that?
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes. The number 1 is walking. You know how walking is good. It's great exercise. But as you get older, you need to do more than walk. You need strength training. You need flexibility. The one thing you don't want to do as you get older is fall. No more falling. That's out. Right. But what you need to do is you need to start building your muscles, and not like a weight trainer, but you got to build strength. And in order to build strength after you work out, you have to have protein. All these things combined work in making you healthier. Another thing that people do, you and I do, we drink water. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, you don't want to drink water when you're thirsty, because you're already dehydrated. What you want to do is kind of drink water throughout the day. Mm-hmm. I'm drinking 1 gallon a day. What I do is I have this little half-gallon thing I walk around with. I work out, I fill it with ice and water, and I drink most of it by 11, 12 o'clock. Then for the rest of the day, I drink the other half. And my thing is, I won't drink anything else until that water's gone. So I'm doing 1 gallon a day. Mm-hmm. Another thing that's really important is sun. A lot of people say you should stay out of the sun. Well, that's not exactly true. Our circadian rhythm is so important. And what starts that rhythm is sunlight, believe it or not. I'm reading this. I'm starting to get smart about all this. But sunlight. You and I worked at FedEx and flew all night long for many years. And it kind of messed up our sleep regimen. But being in the sun and vitamin D is actually good for you. So don't bake in the sun and don't cook in the sun, but you need sunlight. That's extremely important. The last one is eating health bars. You know how you want to eat a healthy granola bar, you want to eat this. They're not healthy. They're full of sugar. They're full of sugar. Anytime you eat anything, you need to read the ingredients. And you need to stay away from sugar, because sugar actually causes aging. What do you think, Dr. Paul, about some of these health tips?
Well, it's pretty good, because I found that some years ago, 10 years ago, that really I had been really dehydrated, didn't really know it. And some medical tests kind of, indicated that. So I started, increasing my water intake about as much as you. And I get it done throughout the day. And I have a 40-ounce thermos with cold water, and I usually squeeze a lemon or a lime, and it makes it nicer.
Yeah, and it's
that's
really good. That lemon juice is really good for you.
Yeah. You should start. I really start off the morning. I didn't do it this morning. I was running short on time, but I'll squeeze like half a lemon in some fresh water. Drink that first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, that'll help clear you.
Hey, you don't know this. Guess what I started drinking at night? One ounce, a shot glass full, apple cider vinegar.
I do that in the morning, sometime, maybe 3 days a week.
Wow, Dr. Brown, my son, we started talking about it. They say it's a miracle stuff.
Supposedly, and it's very inexpensive. You can get it anywhere. I mean, and you got to get. I'll go off on a little tangent here. You need to get the one they call it with the mother, and that's the cloudy. That's not just any clear. You don't want clear apple cider vinegar. It should have some cloudy stuff in it.
It's probiotics in it, and that's called mother. Yes.
Yeah, it's called the mother. Yeah, get the stuff
clearly on the bottle.
Right. Yeah, get the stuff. Bragg's, Braggs is a very popular one. You can get it anywhere. Health food stores, grocery stores. It costs nothing. A bottle lasts you 7-8 months. It might set you back $3. And
hey, the last thing about this health: almonds, berries, and Greek yogurt are supposed to be the snacks of the future.
Okay. I'm good on that.
Isn't that cool? Well,
yeah.
First of all, you have a wingman this week that's going to be the bomb. Oh my God, I can't believe we found this wingman. An incredible story, and I can't wait for you to tell it, Dr. Paul.
Okay, yeah. There's some good people walking around and giving others a second chance who deserve a second chance.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. You know, slavery to me is the worst thing that the human existence can have. That's to me. I truly believe slavery is the worst. And one of the people that I've always really were excited about was Harriet Tubman and her Underground Railroad. I love that. This woman helped slaves run from the South to the North, running to freedom, which is incredible. Well, there's somebody else who likes Harriet Tubman, and it's this guy, Ken Johnston, and he's from West Philadelphia, okay? Guess what he did, Dr. Paul? He did a 400-mile slave walk that Harriet Tubman did through the state of New York all the way to Canada. And before he did that, believe it or not, back in 2019, he did a 140-mile slave walk when Harriet Tubman in 1854 went to go free her brothers. And that was from Maryland, I believe, to Virginia. No, Maryland to Philadelphia. It was a 140-mile trek. This guy, Ken Johnston, walked it, and it took him 6 weeks. You want to hear the trip, Dr. Paul?
What's that?
Tubman did it in 4 days. And he said when he found that out, it blew his mind. What do you think about this slave walk? Because I'm really, I think that is the bomb.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to listen to him speak. I've seen the story. What motivated him to do that? Because he's not a super young guy. He's in his 60s.
Yes,
I recall. So that may have something to do with it. I'm sure Harriet Tubman was quite a bit younger. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
I don't know. We figured it out. You remember we said 140 miles in 4 days. She was walking 35 miles a day.
That's a good pace. Probably with stuff in her hand. Supplies.
So yeah, people behind her and people chasing them.
Exactly. It's interesting. She's buried in Auburn, New York, which I just found out a couple of days ago. That's not too far from, I think, from Syracuse.
That's right. And he went to go visit her grave. And he also started this last one in New York at the Harriet Tubman Museum in Harlem.
Okay. I didn't even know there was a museum in Harlem.
Either did I until I read this. Okay. Amazing. Well, guess what, Dr. Paul? There was a story about this idiot flying over, I think, a river in Colorado, a small private plane, and he was buzzing people on the lake. And buzzing means he was going down damn near water level and flying over these ships, these little boats, scaring them, actually, acting very erratic. The guy, after the story was told, they said he was crazy. He actually buzzed these people, they found out who he was because he crashed after he buzzed them. The funny, not funny, but he walked away. They arrested him. I've had many guys in my flying career do hot dogging. And I have to admit, I've done some hot dogging myself. Hot dogging means doing something with the airplane that you were told not to do.
Right.
Like in the Mediterranean, we would take A6s and fly 450, 500 miles an hour, 50 feet from the water and buzz sail ships. These, the sailing ships.
Yeah.
We thought it was funny, but I don't know.
You're not alone in that.
No, I'm sure. No, I didn't make it up, put it that way.
Right.
I learned it and I did it. But I actually know a couple of tragedies in training, in jet training. 2 people I know killed themselves in front of their parents. They took a cross-country trip in a jet. They went over to their parents' property in one of the states, wherever they were. They lived out on the farm, and they started doing aerobatics right in front of their parents. The problem is they were trying to do it so fancy that one guy went out of control and crashed. The other guy had to eject, and he died too. But 2 people hot dogging in front of their parents have died that I know. My point is that if I ever flew in front of my parents, all I'd do is fast and low. I wouldn't have to do turns or anything. Because if you see a badass A6 fly by you at 500 miles an hour, it is freaking impressive. You don't have to turn whatsoever. Pull that puppy straight up and go straight up in the air. That's all the hot dogging you need to do. But when we talked about it, you said you had some stories too, Dr. Paul.
Well, there's a couple. Nobody in the Navy that during my tenure did anything really crazy like that. Now, the guy in Colorado, flying the Cessna, whatever, sounds like he was watching too many episodes of the first Top Gun movie too many times. It took it literally. You lucked out. But unfortunately, at my old employer, there were a couple of individuals who were killed doing, let's say, demonstrations.
At FedEx?
At FedEx, yeah, very, very, very tragically. One he was with his wife, and they both died. She died instantly. He died like a couple of days later performing before somebody at a barbecue. I think both accidents happened in different states, and they were performing aerobatics in front of people at a barbecue.
Well, don't let me interrupt you, but most of those accidents happen trying to show off in front of people they know.
Yes. Yeah, I guess so. Hey, watch this. And very, very tragically, I remember both the individuals, and they were good people. Just doing something you can't handle, the airplane can't handle, and the combination results in tragedy. In fact, one of those airplanes was an old Navy airplane, a T-28, and I'd flown that very airplane.
Me too.
Because that particular airplane, I looked at the bureau.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw one time he was working on it. I went to the airport and I wrote it down. I looked at my logbook, and I'd flown that like 2 times, before I went to jet training. It was still painted in the colors, VT2, the whole deal. And from that time, it was like about 4 or 5 weeks later, he had to crash by the time I visited. Very, 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 very sad. And there are limitations on everything. You got to know your limitations. And if you want to do aerobatics, you need to be trained in it. And you can't just do it anywhere.
And you can't do it in all kinds of airplanes.
You can't do it in all kinds of airplanes. Yeah.
I mean, we could do aerobatics out of our butt because our airplanes could take those G forces. And that means our airplanes wouldn't break when you put it under pressure of G forces.
Correct. You're in a warplane.
Airplanes can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in a warplane, number one. So it's going to be able to take more than a kite. But you still have to have judgment. And that's when they check out in airplanes and they get older and older and older, most of your check rides are really challenges and tests of your judgment, not so much the mechanics, because by that time you're recommended, everybody can do it. But You've got to be clear thinking and think about yourself and those around you. You can't just do anything. The movies are great, but remember, the movies are the movies.
Oh, yeah. When you and I watch Top Gun or some of these other flying movies, we sit back and critique all the lies that they tell. like, flying past, like in Top Gun. My worst one was when the guy asked if he could do a flyby to the tower, and the tower said no, and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
People need to realize that when he landed, they would have arrested him, pulled his wings from his chest, and he would have went to jail for 10 years.
Yeah. Right. That's the reality. But we're watching.
I even got mad when they wore their flight jacket in a bar, because remember, they wouldn't let us wear our flight jackets off base.
Yeah. Why is that? I thought the Air Force wasn't like that. I don't think the Air Force was like that.
No, but Navy was, and he was a Navy pilot.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I don't know. I don't even know why that started, but somebody probably got it. Somebody did something stupid, got caught, and identified.
And had his name.
From now on.
Yes, that's right.
I bet that's what it was. It had to be.
Right. Well, one of the things we love to do in this show is we love to talk about money and wealth, because this is America and it's a capitalistic society. And you and I both know if you want to do better in America, you need to have a couple of dollars, and there's a way to make it. If we made money, anybody can make money. I mean, we had an education, we found something we love to do, and we did it, and we made money at it. But we like talking about that. And you and I bought 100 shares apiece of Ford Motor Company. And we did that so we could do this with the show. But we did that because we heard that the electric cars that are coming out by Ford are going to be Ford's going primarily electric. And actually, the Detroit Auto Show just was happening, and they came out with the new Ford Mustang. Everybody was at the Ford Detroit Auto Show. I don't know if you've ever been at an auto show. I went to the Memphis Auto Show once. I really had a good time, except I tried to get in the new Cadillac, the sports model. I could not fit in. I remember that. The next one was, back then I wanted a Hummer. Remember the Hummers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, Katrina and I finally got inside of a Hummer, and it was the crappiest plastic junk you could ever see in your life. That's what I remember about the auto show. But going back to money, we bought these stocks at $14.50. And if anybody remembers and have been watching our frequent flyers who've been listening to us, it went down to $12.50. Well, the stock market just crashed not too long ago, but our stocks are still at $14.50, I think you said, or $15.
I think it's like $14.62 last time I looked at it.
So a couple things. Number one, we went through a crash and we did fine with it. But this electric car thing, I think the government heard our show. Do you know why, Dr. Paul?
Because you're so handsome?
No, because you're so smart. Dr. Paul, you were talking about charging stations and the infrastructure. If we have all these electric cars, what are we going to do? I remember it clearly. And guess what? They just signed a bill for $900 million for charging stations and infrastructure for electric cars. Point being, I think our money is going to be good, and I can't wait to watch it grow with the show.
Yeah, I can see obviously the need for charging stations, because I'd wonder, go to some place you might see like one or two. And unfortunately, not a joke, but people are already fighting, killing each other over parking spaces. Can you imagine how that can be when they want to fuel up and they're about to run out of battery? I mean, just I hate to put it negative, but just be realistic.
No, the truth is, man, I got 15 minutes left, dog. Man, you gotta wait.
Yeah, so people go to charge their cars up, and it's like you're entering the UFC in the octagon or something. I could see that happening. So that needs to occur. Now the new Mustang, was this a electric Mustang or the new gas-powered Mustang?
I think it's the electric Mustang.
Okay.
And remember, the real reason we bought this stock is because you told me that you can't even order these electric cars from Ford anymore.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think they're full up.
That's when you know you're going to make money.
Yeah.
When you can buy something.
Yeah, and I also say, it looks like we're in a recession now. We definitely will be in the early part of next year. And even though the news is bad, that doesn't mean you just give up and stop. You just kind of change your tactics and look for something else. A lot of money has been made in past recessions, particularly in the 70s when you had definitely a hard recession and double-digit inflation.
100%. And right now, while the stocks are all down, this is the best time to buy stocks.
Yeah. If you get a couple
Historically,
extra dollars.
they don't ever go down. They
Right.
continue to rise.
Yeah. It's part of the cycle, part of the business cycle.
Well,
Here we
guess
go.
what? You know, King Charles is a king now, right?
Yes.
The Queen died. God bless her. They're going to have a funeral. It's a big deal. But King Charles used to be at the Clarence House because he was the Prince of Wales. And at the Clarence House, Prince Charles had over 100 people working for him that have worked for him for decades. That's 10, 20 years. Well, guess what, Dr. Paul? This week, 100 of them got a letter of redundancy. Redundancy? What does that mean? That means Prince Charles is now King Charles. Prince Charles is leaving the Clarence House for Buckingham Palace. And your job is redundant because somebody already does it at Buckingham Palace. So about 100 people have lost their jobs that were royalty. I mean, they worked with royalty. And I know they were bougie. I know they thought they were the hot shit.
Mm-hmm.
Except they got replaced by people who were hotter shitter.
Yeah.
They got replaced by the king's people.
That's rough. A furlough at Buckingham Palace or whatever.
Yeah, but to get a letter calling you redundant?
It's cold-blooded. I mean, it's a cold-blooded corporate move.
That's cold-blooded.
I mean,
they did. Okay, don't let me make it all bad, because let's tell the truth about the end of the article. It did say that they're going to get redundancy pay. It did say that they will try to get them other jobs somewhere.
Okay.
And they also said that it won't affect them for the next 3 months.
Okay, that gives you hope. But it's rough out there.
Or you can have a lot of money like the rapper Drake. You know, in the NBA, NFL, even my dad, Ali, all got championship rings. Thinking about that, Rocky, Sylvester Stallone has my father's championship ring, and I'd like to get it back.
Really?
Anyway, my father pawned it and he bought it, but I'd like to buy it back. Anyway, but everybody has championship rings, and the Super Bowl rings are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, Drake, when you have money, you can do this. Drake has a recreational league that they play basketball in, and his team won the championship. And Drake bought all of his team members $100,000 rings, 100 stack, like you and I say, $100,000 rings for a recreational league championship. Is that money or what, Dr.
Per
Paul?
ring. How many people you think on the team? How many?
I'd say 15, 20, 2 million.
Couple $1 million. Okay. Just in jewelry. Well,
you know, he said he had 25 mil at 25 years old. That was in one of his songs.
Yeah, I mean, that's enough to fuel up his airplane. I think, doesn't he own an A300 Airbus?
Oh, I don't know. Does he? Does he fly it, or does he have somebody fly it for him?
I think so. He has somebody fly it for him. I think it says Drake on the outside. What? He's got a lot of extra money.
Wow.
It'd be good. Amazing. It would be good if you could take like one of those rings, and he probably does it to support a charity or folks that don't have quite as much.
Oh, I'm sure.
One half of a ring.
And I'm going to show the rings on YouTube. So anybody watching the show on YouTube, you'll see these rings. They are super bad. A lot of diamonds in them. Okay. Well, Dr. Paul, I can't wait. Well, let me do this first.
This is Wingman ESA from the 11 Steps in Life. Fact number 2. Be happy, have fun, and be nice. Be happy, have fun, and be nice. The object is a long, healthy, and happy life. Be better than your parents and make this world better for your children. This has been a Wingman PSA.
Very good.
Can you please, Dr. Paul, give us our wingman this week?
Here, our wingman, his name is Mr. Winston Davis, and this comes out of London, England. Winston Davis has a nephew, and the nephew reported to him that he had been mugged by another young man. So Winston Davis goes to confront this young man. He thought it was a grown adult, and it wasn't. It was a 16-year-old. His nephew that was mugged was 12 years old. He wasn't physically hurt. He was basically kind of threatened with a knife, sort of. The guy didn't pull the knife on him. He just indicated that he had it, and he took his bag. So over a period of weeks, Winston found out who this kid was and essentially confronted him and decided not to call the police. He gave him a choice. He's like, get the police, or you can give me the bag back. So on a certain day and a time, this kid showed up with the bag and he gave it back to him. And there's a video made of it. Interesting. I don't know if we can show some of it. Maybe our media guy will throw parts of it on. It's like a 2-minute video. And it shows him talking to him, asking why he did it. And he seems kind of quiet and mousy. And essentially, he was basically a teenager who was homeless, no education, no nothing, all the negatives. And he decided to give him a chance and give him some education and training through a group he's associated with called the Southside Young Leaders Academy in London. And they work with youth. And apparently, the story went viral, and they've got contributions all over the place. And I think this Winston Davis, I think he'd had some problems himself. I think he had done some time and got into like a air conditioning, refrigeration, or air conditioning or heating business himself. And I guess he saw something in this young man, worthy of redemption, or at least a chance. And apparently he is actually doing well. The Southside Young Leaders Academy is one that works with young men called BAME, B-A-M-E. Never heard that term before, BAME, which stood for Black, Asian, and Multi-Ethnic. I had never heard that term before. It's a British thing. They do something different. Again, British society is not like the stereotypical movies I might have seen in the 60s growing up. It's apparently London is as diverse as New York City, just a different accent on it. So you've got a lot of people from these other countries, parts of the British Empire, the former British Empire, the Commonwealth, what have you, who are part of British society now. And they're running into some of the challenges and problems that you might see over here. Just different
immigration problems, a lot.
Immigration, everything.
People are running away from horror. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
The people who don't have empathy for this, that means that you weren't in horror because you didn't have to run anywhere.
Right.
But most people who are taking these amazing treks through jungles and through countries and miles, they're walking to freedom like Harriet Tubman did.
Right.
Why do you think these people are coming here? Because they want to eat at fancy restaurants? They want jobs. They don't want to be killed in their home countries.
Yeah. The world is a very unstable place, and there's more people than ever on the march, as you say.
If you have an education and you have a field that you can work at and you know how to do it, you'll have a job and you'll live a good life.
Yeah. You just have to start. Be willing, open, start, work hard. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we
started with the show. When, starting again. Well, let's start again right now. All of us.
Let's do
Dr.
that.
Paul, thank you so much. That was a great wingman. A lot of young kids out there are having a hard time, but look how they're raised. Some of them actually do these crimes because they're hungry.
Yes. Yeah. Broken people, broken families. And sometimes the kids that you see, believe it or not, as bad as they may be the best in the family.
That's 100%.
So we've got a lot of work to do.
Well, that's why we have the Wingman Show. We want to bring some positivity to the world. Everybody can talk about murder and mayhem, but very few people actually go on the air every week and try to make people feel better. And that's all we're trying to do here is make you feel better. Because I feel better by doing the show.
I do too. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive in you.
I pray for peace. Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.